Not gonna lie to you, Lieutenant. You're stepping into some shoes the rest of the squad would rather leave unfilled. Me, I'm just happy to have Noble back up to full strength. Just one thing. I've seen your file, even the parts the Oni sensors didn't want me to. Glad to have your skill set. But we're a team. That lone wolf stuff stays behind. Clear? Got it, sir. Welcome to Reach.
Alright, man. One of them old school ass Halo players, right?
That's it. You know, I've been playing Halo since it came out originally on the Xbox. I think right around when Xbox Live first launched. I think that was with Halo 2 or something like that. But Halo 1 actually wasn't multiplayer when the first one came out. Yeah, but
All right. All right, so Kevin back in the day with Halo, and then I'm coming up here. I have. Let me just put this out here, and it's gonna vilify me to a lot of people. All right, and I don't give a damn. But I have never been a big Halo fan. I played Halo 3, almost played through the whole thing, and sat there, and the whole time I was like, what's the big deal? And I know what the big deal is. Now, Kevin, you one of those guys, you're like grandpa sitting on the porch with video games, you know, like, you know, you could tell old stories about video game history. It's almost like if...
Yeah, it's true. No, you're right, man. It's true. I can go all the way back. So yeah, you're right.
You know, because I remember bringing it up. I asked Kevin the other day, people. I was like, man, okay, so what's the big deal with Halo? I mean, I understand that there's a rich history there with the players, but I don't get it. And Kevin was like, well, I remember that time when Bungie first made that first Halo game. It's like he was back in World War II or some shit with this. And from what I understand, now I think you corrected me on this as I was sitting on your lap on the rocking chair, and you told me that Halo, because I told you this. I said, from my understanding, it was Halo Combat Evolved. That's right. The first game that actually that saved the Xbox system, the first Xbox, from being crushed by Sony PlayStation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yes. Yeah, I mean, if everybody wants kind of the feedback on it here, it's basically, Bungie was a big developer, and they specialized in making games for the Mac. And, they were a big Mac company, and they released some titles like Myth on the PC, which were sort of like a real-time strategy game and everything. And then Microsoft came along and bought them while they were working on the Halo project. And everybody was like, oh, no, because it was going to be an Xbox exclusive. And it was for quite a long time before they dropped it on PC. And it was a big game because it was it really brought along first-person shooter that was typically only really good on the PC and not really on the console and over to the PC. And people, kids especially back in the day, a gaming PC was really expensive. I mean, $2,000 up if you want to play a good first-person shooter game. And it's not like today prices have dropped. You can get a pretty decent rig for about $500 or something. But back then it was really expensive. And so Halo, when it came out, was a big deal because gamers, that had an Xbox could get in and play some first-person shooter action. And then, of course, it was followed up by Halo 2, which, had the multiplayer element. And now you had a really full feature of a multiplayer game from a really great developer on a console. But
and you know what? It was cool that Bungie just went out and made this straightforward action game, which, unlike Myst, was just looking at a fucking picture all day. It's like staring at a painting, trying to fake. Myst I could never play. It was like looking at a faint, it was like looking at a painting that was calling me stupid, like fuck this game. But so now what we're gonna do here is, I think a good way to approach this is to look at the new Halo game, Halo Reach, from the point of view of somebody who has played all the Halo games and knows the rich history of Halo, as opposed to somebody like me who, this is really the first Halo game that I've gotten into just by myself. And when I'm because the way I look at it, man, there are some people, because some people might argue, they might say, look, it doesn't matter whether you're a Halo fan or not. The Halo fans are going to come out and they're going to get this game. If it's good enough, they're going to love it. But then you got people like me who, you're being bombarded now by all these cool-ass commercials on TV.
Right.
And everybody's talking about Halo now. You can't fucking drink a Slurpee without somebody, something from Halo looking at you. And I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be people out there like, who are going to be like, all right, goddammit, what's the big deal? I want to be in on the know. I want to be cool too. And they're gonna go out and they're gonna buy the game, and they're gonna have maybe the kind of reaction that I've had. Now, which is not bad, because I know people are already like sitting up there saying, "Oh, you start talking shit about Halo. I don't want to hear this." And it's like,
there goes Korey talking that shit again.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I'm not doing that. But I'm being honest with you. I'm giving you the fresh perspective of somebody who was never a big Halo fan, and I think that's going to be kind of important, because I don't think that I've read a lot of reviews on this game, and while I agree with some of it, I'm still getting the opinion the impression that those reviews are coming from people who are huge Halo fans. And right. I don't want to use the word biased, because I think that they're getting everything that they need from that, because they're really entrenched in Halo, and I'm not.
Right. Well, I don't think you're alone. I mean, I think that there's a lot of people that aren't. I mean, especially back in the day when you were talking between Sony and Xbox, people that pretty much had an Xbox were going in for Halo. And, the people that had PlayStation were PlayStation 2 were like, I don't like Halo, et cetera. But, at the end of the day, I think what it is that it's a really good game in the sense that it's really well balanced, and it plays a really good, first-person shooter, and especially for multiplayer, which became its focus after Halo 2. And I don't think anybody would argue that the single player in 2, 3, ODST, et cetera, was really sort of lacking. It was short and not a lot of evolution in the game.
Yeah, and you hit a good point right there. I mean, let's face it, man. I was poor back in the day, all right? I wasn't big money Korey like I am today, running around with multi-millions of dollars from a website, which is still not true today. But the thing is, I didn't have that much money back then. I had a PlayStation, and I could only buy a limited number of games. I couldn't sit up there looking like, probably like you in your back cave, Kevin, where you sit up there with every fucking system in the world.
Yeah, that's it.
And got about 50 monitors in front of you. And you're playing like all these games at one time. No, I can only play one game at a time. I only have one gaming system at a time, and so I didn't have an Xbox. And
right.
and back then, I was not into first person shooters. I mean,
right.
The thing that got me into first person shooters was, well, one, Gears of War, and believe it or not, Metroid Prime. Because I was a big Metroid fan, and when they finally decided to make Metroid, take that from a 2D platformer to setting it in a 3D world, it became sort of a first-person shooter, and that kind of got me used to the mechanics of playing first-person shooters, because I never was into Call of Duty or anything like that. I just wasn't, and Gears of War really got me into it. So, and now for people who don't know anything about Halo, such as my dumb ass right here, it's the story, and that's the thing that people kept talking about, the story of Halo. It's such a rich story, and and I guess it is. I mean, if you tell me, Kevin, all I know from the story of Halo is that you play a Spartan, and a Spartan, they are soldiers who were raised from children to adulthood to be super soldiers.
I guess. I don't know. They're guys who wear BMX outfits. That's what they are. Now, listen.
That's funny you say. You do kind of see them on. If they were on a BMX bike, they would look no different from those guys out there racing dirt bikes and shit in those fucking dirt hills.
Right. Just remove the guns, and you totally got it. Now, the thing is that in the games themselves, there's actually not that much story. Most of this rich story comes from the outside. There's a little bit in Halo 2 when you're dealing with the Covenant, because you play their side of it as well as the Master Chief.
Well, that's what I was about to say. The Covenant are these aliens that come down who think that they're like, okay, you know what? You offend our gods, so
right.
you've got to go. So
right.
They want to erase all humanity. They're like, we're killing everybody, and of course, the humans have to fight back. And I think throughout the whole series, Earth is the one that's been in the background. If the Earth is the one that's been hidden and that can be saved, and they're trying to keep the Covenant from, because the Covenant is strong. They've been kicking everybody's ass, and Earth is one of the few planets that they haven't been able to reach. And am I correct in this, or am I just full of shit?
Well, see, that's the weird thing about Reach, is because Reach is a prequel. And, they get to Earth in the last one, which would, 3 and ODST. But since Reach came out later, it's a little bit confusing, because, the planet of Reach is where you're at in this game. And that's actually, this all happened before the events that unfolded in Halo 1, 2, and 3 and ODST.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about what they did here. This is Bungie's last Halo game, or so they say. I guarantee you somebody is going to take this up. Microsoft is going to say, all right, fuck it, Bungie, I don't want to do it. We'll get somebody else to do it. We're going to make our money off of this if people keep wanting to buy it. But Bungie themselves are saying, this is our last Halo game. We want to go on to something different.
Right.
And with this, they decided to make a prequel. And everybody's thinking, and I remember when they first announced this, I think there was some people feeling like, oh, y'all got that George Lucas syndrome shit going on now. y'all about to fuck up everything that we've come to love because you want to make a prequel with this. And yeah, in this one, Reach is one of the planets that we start out with a group of Spartans that, I don't know, maybe you come to know in some of the other Halo games. And this group of Spartans is the last stand for this planet, Reach. They do a lot of things significantly on this planet that help the battle against the Covenant. And anybody who knows a lot about Halo knows that Reach doesn't end too well for the planet itself and for the Spartans that try to fight it. I've already put a little bit of a spoiler out there.
So that's our new number 6.
Cat, you read his file?
Only the parts that weren't covered in the black ink.
Anyone claim responsibility, sir?
Only thinks it might be the local insurrection. 5 months ago, they pulled a similar job on Harmony. Hit a relay to take out our eyes and ears, then stole 2 freighters from dry dock. That cannot happen here. Reach is too damn important.
You know ahead of time that this ends good for no one.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe they. I didn't actually get right to the end of the game yet. Because I haven't had that much time to play. But I'm not sure if they actually all die at the end. At one point, I thought you play the role of 6.
6, yeah.
And I thought for a while there that 6 was actually like Master Chief, like you would become Master Chief.
I don't want to say anything, but
I don't know that. See, I don't know. And then somebody told me that I was crazy because he's wearing Spartan 1 gear and that Master Chief wears Spartan 3 gear or something. Now let me tell you something. If you're that crazy about this Halo stuff where you know like the uniforms and everything and who's got what gear and how that differentiates them, you are way more into it than I am. I'm just saying, there must be books or something or some kind of history because it's not in the games. It's just not. I don't know if people run around in multiplayer and they trade information. Like, you suck. You've got on the Spartan 1 gear. And, you got to get Spartan 2 gear like me, and you like, oh, I guess I'm a loser.
And that's when you look at them, yeah, motherfucker, I'm 30-some years old, too. I ain't running around worried about what kind of goddamn
exactly
Halo armor I'm wearing. You know what? You're a fucking nerd. You tell that kid, you know what, kid? You're going to be lonely at prom. You're not going to get laid till you're 25. Get the fuck away from me.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know.
And then give that kid a wedgie and kick him in his ass and send him off. The fuck away from me.
The head in the hallway. But again, you play this 6, and you're going through the game, and I don't know if all the characters you play with die or something. I know that you retrieve an important artifact at the end, and that's necessary to continue on with the story.
Hey Kev, you know what I used to like back in the day? I'm talking about like about 2 or 3 years ago when I first met you. You know what you used to do? When I used to listen to your show, I think I told you this one time. When I used to listen to your show, and I think this is before I even met you, and you would talk about Halo,
right?
Instead of saying Master Chief, you would be reading something, and you would always say Master Chef, and no one would ever correct you. No one ever fucked with you about it. They just let you say Master Chef and just go on about your day. And I know people are laughing at you, man.
That's because people aren't listening, on my show. They're not. As soon as I start doing a review, Brian, Larry, all those guys, they just tune out. Anderson, they're just like, Kevin's talking. It's time to do MySpace surveys or whatever they were doing back then.
I would always love for you to talk about Halo because I would always wait for that moment where you say Master Chef. And nobody say anything. And I was like, he gonna do it. Watch, he gonna say Master Chef. And you sure would do it, man. It just cracked me the fuck up. You made me so happy back then. But you know what? That's one of the things that I like about this game. Let me tell you what I like about some of the things in this game, Halo Reach, because I played it through. I liked. Okay, first of all, I like that you play like with Master Chef, and I see you got me doing Master. God damn it. That's my karma for messing with you.
That's it.
Whenever you play Master Chief, or in this game you play 6. Now I don't know, unless there's something that I'm not clear about, because I'm telling you, I probably don't know what I'm talking about here. But I get the feeling that you are never revealed to be who you are under that mask. They never show you that person, and that person doesn't really have a voice.
Right.
Yeah.
A little bit, not much.
Yeah, well, it makes me feel like that's me under there. You know, it makes me feel like, hey, that could be me. I can put my identity on this, and I feel like I'm part of the game. So I like that your identity is never really revealed in these games, and you can actually put your identity on it. But as far as
you were talking about Metroid, and I think a lot of people when they were talking about Metroid, they said that they didn't like the fact that Samus talked in this one. They preferred that she was quiet or never spoke, And I think you're right. I think there's an appeal there that people like to know themselves as being in the game and not having some weird, some personality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of cool. I guess that wouldn't really matter to me, because now I know that underneath that costume there's a pair of tits and an ass. I mean, because I remember playing Metroid the first Metroid game, and I remember thinking I was Samus, and at the end of the game they show a white chick who's dressed down in a bikini. I'm just kind of like, maybe that's me on certain days, but that's definitely not me every day. I kind of okay, whatever. But you're right. I mean, there is something to be said about characters that you can just be that character in the game, and even when even in something like Metroid, where that character was not talking, not only did it allow you to put your identity on that character, even though you knew who it was, Metroid was always about isolation, and it took away a little bit from that game, that feeling of isolation, that because she didn't talk to anybody. It's like, well, I can't relate to anybody on this planet. It's kind of lonely here.
You get to use your imagination a little bit.
Well, you're right, and I always thought that was a great approach to the Halo games, and I think it's a great approach here. Now, I have a little bit of experience with some of the other Halo games, but I have to admit, I mean, one of the things that never appealed to me about Halo, one of the things that never really made me want to play it more, one of the things that never made me want to go out and buy an Xbox and rush out and play this game was that I don't think the graphics were all that good. I mean, even for the older systems, I always thought, if not, okay, maybe they're not the best graphics, or maybe they're not the worst graphics, but they're kind of just mediocre graphics, and they're very repetitive, some of these backgrounds.
Yeah, listen, in the first one, the big thing was the physics. Graphically it was good, but that really sort of introduced ragdoll physics to a lot of people, where you could blow stuff up and they would go flying out of the way, and you had the vehicles like the Warthog, which had sort of like an active suspension system and could be up and turned over and rolled over and things like that, and that sort of continued. They've always sort of divided the line between the physics in the game and the graphics, but I agree with you that they changed it up here and there, when you're driving around outside and things like that. But even in this one, I agree. The graphics are improved in Halo Reach over Halo 3. But and a lot of the videos that you see online of the game make it look really good. But when you get into it, it's still kind of muddy.
Well, some of the graphics in the Halo games in the past one, it was a lot of repetitive backgrounds, a lot of repetitive graphics, and a lot of it was gray and drab, especially when you got to more of the mechanical areas. But they would always throw in a nice background or a nice set piece.
Yes.
And that's what they seem to do here in Halo Reach, is that they put in some of the best parts of those last games here. The graphics still aren't great, especially with the people. I mean, that's the good thing about them also wearing these costumes, is that the rendering on the people, I just don't think it's all that great. When you run to your first human, they look like they don't even know where they are. They're looking around like a blind person, like, where the fuck am I? So I don't think that the graphics are great, but I don't think that they're bad. But I think you're right. They're vastly improved over what they had before, especially in some areas in Halo Reach where, there's one part of the game where you're doing a night mission, and it almost has this eerie atmosphere as you see lights off, and that's what's so good about the game too. It's like a lot of you see the planets off in the background, you see battles happening in the background, and all those look great. And in this part of the game, it's kind of a departure from the normal combat scenes because it is set at nighttime, and I don't know, and it's just something about that part right there that really stood out to me as being different. Also in this game, there's a space battle where you actually, I think, is that different from some of the other Halo games? I don't recall ever doing that.
Yeah, it's totally new. Right, that's completely new. But
it's almost like Bungie's concentrating. Maybe that's an engine or some play mechanics for a new game. I'm willing to bet. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they're showing off their game engine. I mean, there is also Forge, which is part of this, which allows you to go in and build your own. It's sort of like a big sandbox. You can build like various, almost like level builder, but it's all on one big map, and you can actually do it with other people. Like I think it's like 16 people all at the same time can be involved with either like running around on that map or busy like adding things to it.
Yeah,
and it's I think they really just kind of pulled out all the stops, basically said, here's everything. Here's what we've got. That's it. We're going to go make a game about pirates or something. I don't know what they're doing. They're like, this is all we got, and have fun.
Well, the aerial, not aerial, but the space battle was something that was really cool, and I think a nice varied addition of gameplay to this than the other Halo games. I mean, it made me feel like, I was in some Battlestar Galactica shit. I was Luke Skywalker. I was using the Force and all that kind of stuff trying to fight this. That was kind of cool, and it's not too hard to figure out either. The play mechanics in Halo has never been bad at all. It's except for when you're trying to drive. You're trying to drive one of those warthogs, and it's like I feel like I'm Austin Powers in that one scene where he's trying to back out in parallel park, in that one scene he's trying to do that crane loader or whatever. You remember that scene in Austin Powers and in this game, it feels like I'm always running the walls and running the rocks, and I think that the driving in the game is terrible.
Yeah, it always has been. And I think that's just part of its maybe it's part of its appeal, because the crazy driving kind of adds to the mania that's involved in the multiplayer aspects of the game. A bunch of people get on your vehicle and you drive in, you just flip over a rock and bodies go flying and stuff like that. There's a certain appeal to the comical nature of some of the physics.
Oh, yeah, it is. I drove off a cliff once. Because I didn't know. It's hard to really figure it out. Especially if you come off playing another game when you're driving a lot. I just finished playing Mafia, and I was trying to drive the cars in Halo like I was trying to drive the cars in Mafia, and it just wasn't working. It took me a while to get used to it. And there's one scene where I drove off a cliff, landed in some water, and for some reason my character was in the water and just kept writhing. It's almost like he was doing that Three Stooges thing, like whoop, 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 whoop. And that was pretty funny, but I was like, man, the driving in this, they never bothered to improve that, but I guess it's not a major part. Even when your character, you could have an AI character trying to drive that Warthog, and they don't know what the fuck they're doing with it. When your non-playable character cannot drive the fucking game in the game, drive the fucking car in the game, there's something wrong there,
Yeah, they'll run right over you.
Oh yeah, you gotta get out the way. It's like, hey, pick me up here. Wait a minute, here I am. Oh shit, wait, what the fuck you doing? And it's like, come on, man, y'all can't you can fix all this shit. I know the emphasis is on like run and gun combat here, but goddamn, can't you at least? It's not that hard to like just make it easier to accelerate this game.